This is the school food waste and composting training. Let's dive in with Corey, the compost worm. In this section, we're going to talk about organic waste diversion and why this is important for schools to consider. Few people have actually visited a landfill, but it can be a really impactful experience. A significant portion of the waste stream is comprised of recyclable items, and the single largest input into U.S. landfills is food waste, yard trimmings, and other organic matter. Recyclable materials, food scraps, and leaf and yard debris are all valuable resources that shouldn't be taking up space in our landfills. Diverting food waste is important because it turns something usually considered waste into resource. If you're wondering how much food is actually being wasted, around 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten on average. That's about 400 pounds of food per person every year, or a little over a pound a day. Not only is that irresponsible, it's expensive. Growing, processing, transporting, and disposing of that uneaten food has an annual estimated cost of $218 billion, costing a household of four an average of $1,500 to $1,800 annually. The real tragedy of this is that we have a hunger problem in the U.S. About 1 in 8 Americans is food insecure. To put this in perspective for New Hampshire, about 9% are food insecure. That's almost 123,000 people. This is not to say that solving the food waste problem will solve the hunger problem, or that we should be diverting bad food to hungry people. But the reality is that much of the food wasted in the U.S. is perfectly edible. In Vermont, one of the most positive outcomes of the universal recycling law has been a threefold increase in the volume of fresh foods donated to the Vermont Food Bank by food retailers. Environmentally, landfilling these organic materials contributes to climate change by producing greenhouse gas emissions. When this organic waste breaks down in the landfill, commingled with other types of waste, it produces methane gas. Both methane and carbon dioxide are greenhouse gases, but methane is over 20 times more potent than carbon dioxide in trapping heat in the Earth's atmosphere. When organic waste breaks down, separate from other waste, like in a compost system, it primarily creates carbon dioxide. Plus, the compost created from the diverted organic waste is a nutrient-rich soil amendment. So what do? Diversion can take place in homes, schools, restaurants, and businesses. Many schools are starting to divert their food waste. Schools are incorporating all of the reasons for diversion we just talked about into their curricula, and engaging students in the management of on-site composting is a great educational opportunity.
You're so right, Natasha. The food waste in our communities is a big problem. Here in New Hampshire, we work hard, love our environment, and care for our neighbors, but we still have a lot to do. Our food waste challenges will not be solved with one solution, one school, one person, one place, but together we might start to address this problem and make improvements. This food recovery hierarchy from Maine highlights how we need to meet this challenge at many stages of the process. I want to take a moment to talk about the top two tiers, reduce and save. There are three main reasons why reducing is so important. Economically, it saves the school money. Environmentally, it conserves our natural resources and the value of the nutrients that are in the food that we receive. And also emotionally, it helps us to appreciate what we have. When thinking about schools, there are a couple of questions that pop up about whether or not you are reducing what you can. What's happening in the back of the kitchen? Are there items that don't even make it out? What's happening on the food plate? Are students eating what they are given? Are the kids hungry when they come to lunch? Do the kids recognize the significance of food waste? It's important to understand these questions and more and consider the limitations and possibilities for reducing food waste at this stage. Save, also known as rescue or recovery in the food waste diversion world. It's quite possible, and even to some degree likely, that there will always be some unopened or uneaten food that the school has. Whether it's during snack or during lunch, there might be quality leftovers that are just not eaten at school. There are many different ways that schools across the country have transformed this unused food into valuable nutrient for community kitchens, hungry neighbors, or even classmates. When you have an opportunity to consider what to do with this waste, it will be a benefit to your students as well as to your community. Reducing and saving are critical to diverting food waste effectively. Compost is necessary, but it's not everything. And it's important that we communicate this to our students and to our communities when implementing food waste diversion programs. It is difficult to implement a program that covers every single stage of the process. But at least if we see the full picture, we can recognize where we're making improvements and where we still have work to do and communicate that so we all together find ways to do more. Back to you, Natasha.
It's human nature to think we're doing a better job of reducing waste than we really are. Doing a waste audit provides a reality check, and once you start composting, seeing which foods make their way into your compost system whole can also positively impact purchasing decisions. While there may be concern about handling organic material during the current pandemic, this can and is being done safely every single day. By following health and safety guidelines, school composting can be a fun and educational outdoor activity. In your packet, you'll find the health and safety guidance for school composting, as well as the COVID-19 and community composting tip sheet. Additional resources you may want to take a look at are Drawdown, the most comprehensive plan ever proposed to reverse global warming, and Wasted, how America is losing up to 40% of its food from farm to fork to landfill.